Hi, let me welcome you once again back onto Sovereign Grace and back to my YouTube video, Pastor's Day Off. Now, if you watched my introductory video last time, as I showed you around the boat, I did say that there were a number of jobs that needed to be done over the winter, and here today there's a couple of jobs that I need to do. First of all, I need to remove the sails so that I can dry store them over the winter at home, but also because it's going to get colder, to fit some sort of heating or heater to the engine room, or in the engine room compartment, to stop the engine from frosting up. And I've got a very simple heater to do that. This is a tube heater, very typical of the sort of thing that you would find being used on a lot of boats for this purpose. And I'm just simply going to connect that up with a plug-in thermostat, which I should be able to set to about 5-6 degrees, so that if it really does get frosty, the heater will come on and hopefully protect the engine. Now, of course, for that I need some sort of electrical supply to the boat. Now, the boat actually isn't yet fitted with its own shore supply, but what I do have, and I bought last year, is I've got one of these. You can buy this kind of thing in any camping shop, and it is useful. It works, it serves the purpose, and it allows me to connect to the supply on the shore. So those are the jobs. Let's get at them and see how well we get on.
Now, I've changed cameras at this stage. Hopefully this one will work, but the idea is to be able to keep my hands free so that you can see what I'm doing, so I can complete the jobs that I am hoping to do. But here in this locker we've got a couple of the sails all ready to be taken ashore, if I can just get that one out. But immediately, actually, I can feel the reason why I'm doing this already. That's feeling a little bit damp. You can see it's a little bit damp. The sail inside is okay, but this is why I dry store my sails over the winter, because obviously I don't want my sails becoming like that. But when I get home, I can take that out, the sail out of that, and put that through the washing machine. So I've got one sail there. Further down, let me just dig this one out. I've got another sail here. Actually, this one is still folded up from last year, but again, I can already feel that the cover, at least the bag at least, is feeling a little bit damp there, and certainly again needs to be dry stored at home. I'm just going to have a look and see whether there's another bag in there. There isn't, so I need to find that in a moment. Actually, if I look further down, nope, there she is. There she is. That's the bag for the main sail, and that's the one that we've got to take off now. And it can be a little bit fiddly, but let me just get that out of the way, and then we can get to it. And the first thing that needs to come off is this blue cover here. This isn't just for on here for the purpose of keeping the sail clean and a little bit dry. It also serves another purpose in that it is UV protective. Sails can deteriorate over time just simply because of the light that's shining on them. So you need something like this to cover them up and protect them. But that needs to come off as well. So I've got to loosen off one or two bits and pieces here in order to do that. First of all, taking off this is the main sheet, but I just keep her wrapped around the boom, so-called, because that's the noise it makes when it comes across and hits you on the head. But I leave that on there just to help keep the boom central for when I leave it, so that it doesn't blow around in the wind. So I need to take that off. That's off now, and then I can start undoing this arrangement here, do this cover, so that we can take that off, and that also will come home and be stored. And she simply unclips like this all the way down. I'll come further up now. Take that off. Take that off. And I can come up here again, undo. My, that was a rubbish knot that I tied earlier on in the year. Don't judge me on my knots. I can do them, but it must have been a bit wet on that day, so I would have done that one perhaps in a hurry. And there she is. She is free to come off now. Oh, we've got a visitor on board there. He will have to go in a minute, but I'll just put that down in the cockpit for now. In fact, I'm going to go down there because there's one other thing that I need to do before I can actually disconnect the sail from the front, and that is to release the pressure, the tensioner on the foot of the sail, so that I can undo that and tighten that off, and that comes back up to here. There you go. That's a much better knot, a bowline, a very useful knot for sailors, one that we should all know. In fact, one that we should be able to tie with our eyes closed. So good to practice. The best way to practice that is to try and tie it behind your back. See how you get on. But a good one to be able to tie in the dark, and a very solid one because it doesn't slip, and that's why it's often used for this purpose on the boat. But I need to take that off so that I can take it off the back of the sail here, and what I tend to do then is I just wrap that around a couple of times and secure that off, and that doesn't then hopefully go back down inside the boom, because that would be very annoying indeed. The other thing that has to come off as we go down, we've got these straps here. These just help keep the sail tidy, but now we have to take those off so that we can actually take the sail out. And here's the second one, if I can get underneath and get that off, and here is a third one, and our little friend still seems to be inside. I'm sorry, but you are just in the way. So let me take that one off, and let me put that down, those down in there, and I'll stow those later. Now up here, I'm sure that this isn't standard, this arrangement here. Clearly someone has done that in the past, and that screw there is solidly stuck inside the mainsail here, but they have put this nut, which I can undo, and it should undo fairly easily, he says, which allows that to slide out. And as is typical, when you want something to happen, it doesn't happen. So just bear with me a second. So it is about having the right tool for the right job, and I've got a little multi-tool here which will just nicely undo that for me, and that should be enough to open this, and we'll be able to slide these up through to take the sail off itself. But before I do that, there's one more thing I need to do, and that's down here. I need to undo this shackle here, and enables me to take the sail off completely and slide it through. Just do that, and then I can put that safely back inside, keep that safe for going back on later on. So that's that done, making sure we don't lose these things overboard, because again, much tears and anguish come when we do things like that. But now that is off, we can then start feeding the sail out of the top, and it just simply comes out like that. Come on, fella. Just simply take it out the top like that, and all the way down. that's it. Now once we've done that, just making sure that everything stays safe and nothing goes overboard, we can start to slide the sail out. Just by doing that, it just slides out. And that's that out for the winter. Just going to well, not so carefully maybe, just get that down into the cockpit for the moment. And we can store it in its bag. Oh. Now, the other thing we need to do before we can stow this one in the bag, main sails have battens in them, and that is to keep the back of the sail rigid and straight, and this is no exception, but they just come out like this, so we can just take that out there. That's one batten. I think if I remember rightly there are 3 on this sail, so working our way down we can find the next one. There it is. That just pops out. Don't want to be folding it later with those in. And further down still we've got a 3rd one, and I'll store those safely down below. That's all of them. Now, for the moment, we haven't got the room to fold this up properly, so the job here is simply to get it in the bag, and then when I get home, I can lay it out flat and fold it up properly for the winter. Just get that in there. There we are. It's going in. I know it's not the best, but it will allow me to get the sail in the car and off home. Oh, there you go. I didn't see that, did I? I miscounted. There are actually 4 of these, not 3 of them, so that one seems to be a little bit harder to get out, but we will get it out and we won't damage anything in the process. There you go. That's another one, and that can be stored below. Oh, my tiller is complaining and getting in the way. Let me just lock that back, and then we can finish getting this in here. There you go, not the best, but it fits, and when it's folded up it will fit even better. So that's that job done, and they can go ashore in a moment. Also, we need to take this with us, and again that will have a good clean before it goes back on the boat next year. So it just needs me to stow these down below, and then later on, oh, that was careless, later on put those back in when the sails go back up. Now, the next job I need to do is fit an engine heater into the engine compartment, just to protect against frost.
Well, being one of these people who likes to always find the hard way to do a simple job, I thought what I would do is to show you the results of fitting this engine room heater rather than the process. It did take a little while, it was a bit fiddly, and there were one or two problems on the way, but here it is. I've mounted it at the back of the engine room compartment, and the wire there runs to the thermostat plug, which is hidden away underneath there, but I was able to get a wire through to it and put it in a place where it wouldn't get in the way of anything else. And now that is set up so that if the temperature drops below 5 degrees and there is a danger of frost, that heater will come on and it will keep the engine from freezing up. The wire itself, the wire to the main supply, it just runs over there, over the back of the boat. That will go through the door when I close it up in a moment to the shore power there. And I did check on my credit that there was plenty enough on there for the moment to probably keep it warm and frost free for most of the winter. But there it is. Those are the two jobs that I wanted to do today. One was to take the sails off, and in a moment I will take those back to the car and they will come home with me, and to fit the engine room heater. And I think that's probably just about enough for today.